in silence at church every Sunday. Although it won't be possible to recreate the exact atmosphere at home, I hope you can find a corner of solitude for a few minutes. The entire reading should take about 20 minutes if you choose to do so. It can be longer if you need it to. I do encourage you not to rush anything and to sit as comfortable as possible, but not in a way that will make you want to fall asleep. You might want to light the candles, so please prepare that beforehand. There will also be time for communion, and feel free to participate by preparing some bread and wine for yourself. Other than that, I hope this helps in a time of need, and feel free to return to this message as often as you need. Grace and peace, Jaco. Alice Walker, Living by the Word. Some periods of our growth are so confusing that we don't even recognize that growth is happening. We may feel hostile or angry, or weepy and hysterical, or we may feel depressed. It would never occur to us, unless we stumbled on a book or a person who explained to us that we were, in fact, in the process of change, of actually becoming larger spiritually than we were before. Whenever we grow, we tend to feel it, as a young seed must feel the weight and inertia of the earth as it seeks to break out of its shell on its way to becoming a plant. Often the feeling is anything but pleasant. But what is most unpleasant is the knowing what is happening. Those long periods when something inside ourselves seems to be waiting, holding its breath, unsure about what the next step should be, eventually become the periods we wait for. For it is in those periods that we realize that we are being prepared for the next phase of our life, and that, in all probability, a new level of personality is about to be revealed. Today's reading is from John 12, verse 24. Listen carefully. Unless a grain of wheat is buried in the ground, dead to the world, it is never more than a grain of wheat. But if it is buried, it sprouts and reproduces itself many times over. In the same way, anyone who holds on to life, just as it is, destroys life. But if you let it go, reckless in your love, you will have it forever, real and eternal. Johannes 12 vers 24. Laat ek dit vir julle so verduidelik. 'n Koringsaadjie wat jy nooit saai nie, sal maar net een saadjie bly. Maar as jy dit in die grond saai, verdwyn die saadjie 'n ruk lank. Dit is of dit doodgaan, maar dan kom daar 'n plantjie op en dit dra honderde koringkorrels. Last week's reading focused on order as the first stage of healthy development. To continue growing, we must go through a period, or even many periods, of disorder. The pattern of transformation involves at least some measure of suffering. Part of us has to die if we are ever to grow larger. There is no practical or a compelling reason to leave one's present comfort zone in life. If it is working for us, why would we? The invitation from Jesus to move from one stage to another seems quite clear in his frequent invitation to metanoia, or conversion, to turn around and change our minds. Almost inevitably, our ideally ordered universe, or our private salvation project, as Thomas Merton called it, will eventually disappoint us. Sooner or later, if we are on any classic spiritual schedule, some event, perhaps person, a death, idea, or relationship will enter into our lives that we simply cannot deal with using our current skill set, our acquired knowledge, or even just our strong willpower. We will be deeply disappointed by what we were originally taught and by where our choices have led us to. There will be a death, a disease, a disruption to our normal way of thinking or being in the world. And this is necessary if any real growth is to occur. We must actually be out of the driver's seat for a while, or we will never learn how to give up our control. It seems to be the necessary pattern. We must stumble and be brought to our knees by reality to be able to hand over that control. There must be, and if we are honest, there always will be at least one situation in our lives that we cannot fix, control, explain, change, or even understand. Normally, a job, a fortune, or a reputation has to be lost. A house has to be flooded. An illness has to be endured. And some kind of failing is programmed into the journey, and we can call this a necessary suffering. By denying our pain or avoiding our necessary failing, many of us have kept ourselves from our own spiritual deaths. There is a saying that God comes to you disguised as your life. Some of us find this stage so uncomfortable that we try to flee back to our first created order, even if it is killing us. But permanent residence in disorder is rather tragic and certainly unhelpful. It tends to make people negative and cynical, and usually angry. Searching for some solid ground, we can easily become quite opinionated and dogmatic about one form or of political correctness or the other. Everybody, of course, initially aims for happiness. But happiness is the spiritual outcome and result of full growth and maturity. One can see why Christianity adopted the language of being born again. The great traditions seem to say that the first birth is not enough. We not only have to be born again, but we have to be remade. The remaking of the soul and the refreshing of the eye has to be done again and again. There is no non-stop flight from order to reorder. Between the beginning and the end, there is a conflict, a contradiction, and a confusion. You can call it maybe a fly in the ointment of our self-created paradise. Discovering the fly and embracing the contradiction will lead us to a deeper life with God. Dear Lord, let me see your face in every face I meet. Let me learn the intimate connection between love of you and compassion for all. Let me damp down my need to take, and let my heart fill with the necessity to give. Amen. The table of bread is now to be made ready. It is a table of company with Jesus and all who love him. It is a table of sharing with the poor of the world with whom Jesus identified himself. And it is a table of communion with the earth, in which Christ became incarnate. So come to this table, you who have much faith, and you who would like to have more. You who have been here often, and you who have not been here for a long time. You who have tried to follow Jesus, and also you who have failed. Come, for it is Christ himself who invites us to meet him here tonight. May the peace of the Lord Christ go with you wherever he may send you. May he guide you through the wilderness and protect you through the storm. May he bring you home rejoicing at the wonders that he has shown you, and may he bring you home rejoicing once again into our doors. Amen.